David Lange is one of the most tragic figures of our modern political history. Highly articulate, entertaining, he was ushered into power in a landslide in 1984 during an economic and financial crisis. Feted as the youngest Prime Minister of the 20th century, he dazzled the nation with his wit and intellect. I certainly agree with those sentiments as written by Graham Adams, a very experienced journalist and columnist. But however, from the day Ardern with Labour was handed that huge majority at the last elections, warning bells were ringing from every corner here at Mountainside FM. Those bells have become shriller at every passing day, and today they echo the name of another political upheaval that was the reason for so much hurt: David Lange not having the ability to control a cabal of very dangerous, self-driven greedies from the back room. Roger Douglas and that fish and chip brigade, even including Ruth Richardson 3 years later, is a part of New Zealand's doomsday rhetoric. David Lange, with his wonderful humour, intelligence and his orator skills, took him and much of his time to fight the nuclear argument, much to the joy of support from the uninformed and the unwashed of the time. They still have not worked out the difference between nuclear armed weapons and nuclear power. Today, Labour has bred another dangerous pack in the background of this Ardern Labour government. Whilst the silly little Prime Minister of New Zealand, Jacinda Ardern, fills the time with mistake after mistake of COVID-19 elimination, the backroom gaggle of this Labour Party, led by Mahuta, Willie Jackson, David Parker, and don't forget bonehead Andrew Little, as now embracing growing power that this Labour-appointed Maori caucus. The agenda was set out in He Purpur, the blueprint for Maori self-determination. It was commissioned by Cabinet in March 2019 and delivered to Nanaia Mahuta, the Minister for Maori Development, that November. A document, a roadmap, that the minority government members have been pushing since the election. A Zimbabwe-type document that drove Robert Mugabe and his conniving, dishonest supporters to destroying a country that once referred to as the food basket of Africa. The actions of Jacinda Ardern and the Maori caucus preventing the framework of He Purpur being tabled for debate at the last election is in itself must indicate to even the most politically inept New Zealander we have arrived at very dangerous crossroads. Ardern has insisted He Purpur is not government policy, and most commentators have very foolishly accepted her assurance entirely at face value. Despite the increasing number of its recommendations that have either been enacted or are in the process of being enacted, the push at legislative level by Mahuta to bypass any show of democratic procedure and use the power of a dictatorship to fulfill her and her very questionable backers their wish to control all water in New Zealand. For a document that allegedly plays no part in government policy, the coincidences with the changes being rolled out are astonishing. Three Waters is merely the latest instalment. As we New Zealanders are so trapped in the ongoing debacle of Bloomfield Ardern inability to seem to get anything right, we have this undertow of dishonesty and policy by secrecy slowly being forced upon us ordinary citizens. The Kiwi, us that have worked so hard for this country. The next shock to us will be the swearing in of our new Governor-General, a Maori activist that will become the Queen's representative to oversee the Ardern Labour Maori caucus run this country in a way that will even horrify the wokest of the wokes. If Ardern was a in-control Prime Minister, she would back away from any policy as widely disliked as Three Waters as soon as the poll results arrived on her desk. The fact that she hasn't is, I believe, a very clear indication that Ardern is not calling the shots or has any control over any serious decisions. Those who keep supporting this Ardern Labour government must be thrilled we're now being run by a faceless group of self-driven, racial and even greedy individuals from the back room within the Beehive. I would venture to suggest the very close mirror image of the disastrous Lange years.